P. Eulogy of Lidice. Stern Park Gardens, IL, July 12, 1942. Wendell Wilkie. Fellow citizens and all who love freedom everywhere. Let me tell you a story. 10 miles west of Prague, in Czechoslovakia, there was a little village called Lidice, spelled Lidice. It was a mining village, a mile off the main highway, with some lovely old inns, a blacksmith or two, a shoemaker, a wheelwright, a tailor. The village had been there for over 600 years. Above the 90 roofs of the town rose the spire of St. Margaret's Church, built in 1736, the home of the faith of the community. This town was remote, peaceful, almost like a village in a fairy tale. But it was not a village in a fairy tale, for its people had tasted the bread and wine of freedom. In this village, one of the main streets was named Wilson Street, after an American who had a vision and wanted to share it with the world. And the people of Lidice dreamed the same dream, saw the same vision. But the Nazis came, and with them, misery and hardship. The altar of St. Margaret's Church was no longer open to the people as it had been for over 200 years. Men had to watch their words, and in their actions, they could no longer be free. But in their hearts, the hearts of the innkeeper, and the tailor, and the farmer, and the miner, and the priest, was the stubborn independence of their fathers. Not far from Lidice ran a winding road. On this road, on May 27, 6 weeks ago, at 10:30 in the morning, a motor car was passing, carrying Hitler as governor of Czechoslovakia, Hangman Heydrich, for his cruelties the most hated man in all Europe. The car was held up by two unknown men. Bullets burrowed into the spine of Reinhard Heydrich. The two patriots disappeared, and one of them, it is said, is now safe in London. I do not wish to speak of the reign of terror that thereupon swept over all Czechoslovakia. I wish to speak today only of Lidice, and I will give you only the facts. This is not my version of the facts. This is not a version of the facts issued by any of the United Nations as propaganda. These are the facts as officially attested by the German government. They are facts of which the Nazis are proud. They are facts they wish the world to know. They are facts they believe will frighten you and me, and turn our hearts and our knees to water, and make us cry truce. For Heydrich the hangman died in agony, just as he had caused thousands of innocent people to die. No proof from that day to this has ever been adduced to show that any of the inhabitants of Lidice had anything to do with the assassination. But the Nazis made their own proof. They were afraid not to, for Heydrich was one of their great men. One of the best Nazis, Hitler called him, and that, no doubt, is true. On June 10 an official German statement was issued, not for domestic consumption, but for the world to hear. I quote from it, "It is officially announced that in the course of the search for the murderers of General Heydrich, it has been ascertained that the population of the village of Lidice supported and assisted the perpetrators who came into question because the inhabitants, by their support of the perpetrators, have flagrantly violated the law. All men of the village have been shot. The women have been deported to a concentration camp, and the children sent to appropriate centers of education. All buildings of the village were leveled to the ground, and the name of the village was immediately abolished." That is the official Nazi report. They came in the night, men in boots and brown shirts, and they took from their homes the bewildered miners and farmers, the tailor and the priest, the boy of 17 and the old man of 70, more than 200 in all, and they shot them, because they could think of no other way to avenge the death of Heydrich. 56 women they took also and killed, and proudly listed their names. The rest of the women they drove into what they called concentration camps, and these women the world will never see again. They herded the pale, terror-stricken children into trucks and carried them off to correction schools where they would be taught that they must honor the murderers of their fathers and the brutalizers of their mothers. The 90 homes they burned to the ground, the church of St. Margaret they stamped into the earth. And the name of the little town of Lidice, through which ran the street called after a president of the United States, they rubbed out, they thought, from history. Why did they do this deed, more terrible than anything that has happened since the Dark Ages, a deed not of passion, but of cold, premeditated, systematic murder and rapine? Why? They did it because they are afraid. They are afraid because the free spirit in men has refused to be conquered. Theirs is a system of force and terror, and Lidice is the terrible symbol of that system. But it is not the only one. Of the 500,000 men, women and children who have been shot in Europe by the Nazis, at least 25,000 have perished in mass massacres. Poland, Norway, Belgium, Yugoslavia, all have their Lidices. But this one a symbol of all we have sworn to remember, if only because the Nazis themselves demand that we forget it. Once more, they have misjudged the human spirit. Because a hangman was killed, Lidice lives. Because a hangman was killed, Wilson Street must once again be part of a little bohemian town. Because the lanterns of Lidice have been blacked out, a flame has been lit which can never be extinguished. Each of the wounds of those 200 men and 56 women is a mouth that cries out that other free men and free women must not suffer a like fate. Everywhere, but particularly in our own country, the wave of stubborn, stern resolve rises. Lidice lives. She lives again, 3,500 miles from Wilson Street and Street Margaret S. Church, in this little village in Illinois. I look about me here, and I can see in the distance the black smoke of steel factories, swarming with American workers of all bloods and races. No contrast could be greater than the peaceful Lidice the Nazis thought they had destroyed, and this Illinois country, alive with factories in which the arms of victory are being forged. But I tell you that the two are related. For while such deeds as Lidice are done in another country, we cannot rest until we are sure that they will never be done in our own. Let us here highly resolve that the memory of this little village of Bohemia, now resurrected by the people of a little village in Illinois, will fire us, now and until the battle is over, with the iron resolution that the madness of tyrants must perish from the earth, so that the earth may return to the people to whom it belongs, and be their village, their home, forever.